Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Alrighty, welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard for Wednesday, November the 14th, 2018. Today's show is really going to consist of your Gmails and your phone calls. We are really stacked up, so we decided that we would get as many of those in as we can along with your phone calls. Now, you can call at 1-877-932-9766. You could also go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, then you want to scroll down or hit the space bar and then type in the word radio and then scroll down to Talktainment number 2, and you are there where you can see us and also, or see me anyway, and hear us. While you are there, hit the subscribe and like button, and you can also do this, and we would prefer this way, but you can do this. Go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage and just click on Listen Live. Boom, you're there. Hit the subscribe and like button there. Facebook, you can go there. You can go to Facebook.com/Talktainment. That has it. And you can also hit me up on my Gmail at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. That's what we will do and try to abide by, and we'll see how the show progresses from there. Okay, let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. He is the author of the book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, and he will talk more about that book as the show goes on. As a matter of fact, a lot of his answers contain many things that are in the book that we strongly suggest that you get. And as a matter of fact, all of he says are suggestions, but they're very insightful and worth you taking a look at. So, Mr. Fuller, as usual, my usual custom, on this 14th day of November 2018. Let me start off by saying good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, and my second question is, how are you today, Mr. Fuller?
I'm still learning.
You are still learning. I had a question that came up in our discussions yesterday on how Mr. Fuller would answer this. There was an incident, Mr. Fuller, in Dallas recently where a security guard was shot and killed by one of the suburbs of Dallas police officer. He was a security guard with clearance to carry a weapon, and apparently at some nightclub or something, some of the people in the nightclub started shooting and firing people, and one of the people that is affiliated with the club asked the security guard to intervene and break this up. And as he did do this, he apprehended one of the suspects and had him down on the ground waiting for the police to come And they did come, and the policeman that did the shooting saw that the security guard had the gentleman pinned down, and the security guard was shot by the police officer. What is your compensatory response to that incident?
It's to be expected. I keep trying to tell people, you have a prison uniform on. See, the people that showed up on the scene, I read a little something about that, and apparently from what I can make of it is, they spotted that prison uniform. I mean, in the system of white supremacy, the prison uniform is a dark skin, non-white skin, particularly what they call black skin, is a prison uniform. You're a prisoner of war. When you spot that prisoner of war with the prison uniform, which is the skin color, black, and that prisoner has a gun, that's a no-no in a prison system called the system of white supremacy. So you automatically, that's just a reflex. It's not personal or anything like that. It's a reflex. Everybody's been taught that. Black people have been taught that. That black skin, that's a prisoner of war. What is he doing with a gun? I mean, he's got no business with a gun. He's a prisoner of war. Or she is a prisoner of war. Shoot. Shoot. Ask questions later. But you got no business with that gun. Now, that uniform that they put on made out of cloth, that didn't matter at all. The uniform is not the cloth. The uniform is the skin color. Every black person on the planet has to know that 24 hours a day. Otherwise, this is going to continue. Of course, it's going to continue anyway, but we should at least understand that. If that had been me, I would have, hey, now the people who respond to this situation, first thing they're going to see is a black guy with a gun. That's me. And I'm going to be toast in a few seconds. So I got to hide this gun or do something, lay down on the sidewalk or something before they get here. Because what they're going to see is a black person, a male, with a gun. End of story. I'm dead. I got to think that way. I got to think that way. And everybody that's listening to this program, I mean, security guards, you got a lot of black security guards in the Northwestern Hemisphere, in shopping centers and whatnot. You better understand that. That should be a part of what they teach you in the course when you get to be the guard in a shopping center or something. And they single you out. They should, say, well, now, in that class, if they got one, when they teach you what the protocols, what the procedures are going to be, they say, now, when it comes to the black fellows here, remember, if you got that gun in your hand, when the sheriff shows up, or the highway patrol, and they come rolling in, 3 and 4 cars, sirens blasting, all right, everybody jumping out, shotguns, the whole 9 yards, all right, and you're trying to apprehend somebody, you better make sure that they don't spot you with that gun in your hand, or you are it. Forget about everybody else. You're it. You're the target. Everybody opens up on you. Think about that. Keep that in mind. Since they don't tell you, I'm telling you the way I would look at it. Because, see, I would be thinking about that all the time. My prison uniform, that's the thing that's going to stand out more than anything in that shopping center.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, I did not see any film on this particular incident, but from the description that I read, the security guard, the black security guard, had the guy down, the suspect down, in a position. In other words, what I'm trying to intimate is that his gun that he was licensed to carry did not factor in the security guard's play. He had both hands on the gentleman trying to keep him down until the police came. And according to what I read, they came in and just started shooting. They saw a black guy holding a guy down, and they, even though he was in a prison, or rather, even though he was in a security guard uniform, they assumed, that's the police, assumed that he was the suspect and just shot him, no questions asked, until afterwards.
Oh, well, that's just one of those major unfortunate things. But it goes with the territory.
Meaning?
Without the gun being visible.
Yes.
Like you're in danger. Being black on the planet, all right, is guilty as charged. I'm guilty of what? I'm guilty of what? Being black on planet Earth. Guilty. Wake up and smell the coffee, fella. This is all of us.
Okay.
We have to think like that. We have to think like that.
Yes, sir.
All the time, 24/7. But people might say that, well, now, you're kind of overblowing it, don't you think, Fuller? I mean, it ain't that bad. Yes, it's that bad. And people who suddenly have to learn that the hard way know how bad it is. I mean, see, you can't look in the mirror and see what other people see in the system of white supremacy. You say, I'm a nice guy. I mean, I don't bother anybody. I do things and, try to treat people right.
Yes.
And I just go to work and try to make a living. Well, no. You're a prisoner of war. And bad things might happen at any moment to prisoners of war.
But being aware that he had a job to perform as he was asked to do,
yes,
he still got shot.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Bad things happen to prisoners of war. Why? Because we're prisoners of war. I mean, you're just guilty of just being here. Guilty of being, black while existing. That's a horrendous crime for a person.
Okay, let me put it this way.
We have to see it that way here in 2018.
Okay.
And it's going further and further and further deep into being that way, regardless of all the singing and dancing that we do and getting on television and making jokes and all like that. I mean, it is steady getting worse.
Okay.
And we have to look at it like that it might even get 10 times worse than it is.
Okay.
You have to think that way.
Okay.
You must think that way.
1-877-932-9766 is the number if you'd like to join in on the conversation. Before we move on to a Gmail, Mr. Fuller, again, this particular situation. Now, the question is that many wanted to ask, how would Neely Fuller address this situation? You are the security guard, and they ask you to do what this gentleman did to break this situation up and get it under control. With all of the knowledge that you have with the book, and that you are a prisoner of war, the whole 10 yards. We're not going to go 9, 10, the whole 10 yards. People want to know, what would Neely Fuller do in the exact situation that this brother who was killed found himself in?
Once I see help arriving, in other words, it's actually showing up,
Yes.
jump up and throw up my hands.
You still might get shot.
And I still might get shot, knowing that. Yes. I automatically know that.
Okay.
See, I mean, being a prisoner of war, that's what you expect. You look at some of the prisoner of war movies like World War II. I mean, people just walk up and shoot you in a prisoner of war camp for no reason at all.
Yes.
Except the guy just wants to try out his gun, see if it's working that day.
Mm-hmm.
He just might shoot you. I mean, in some war camps, nobody's around, nobody's looking. Hey, he tried to escape, so I shot him. That's all the guard got to say. Or he was coming toward me in a threatening manner. He can kill anybody anytime he wants to and write a report on it. End of story. I mean, and the rest of the guards, I mean, nobody else is around, or hey, it could be. I mean, we didn't know. We just heard a shot. End of story. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Prisoner of war. I'm talking about in a war camp. Not talking about what you call civilian penitentiaries. You might have to write more reports in that type of setting.
Yes.
But the world, the way that it is now, if you have black skin, you are already a prisoner of war and under a death sentence.
Okay.
By birth.
Okay.
Just by being born, you are already under a death sentence. You've already been convicted of something that carries a death sentence. If you look at yourself that way, then you got your antenna up.
Okay.
And when you call names or anybody, don't escalate that situation, because you are the person that's going to be the target when all this goes down.
Okay.
I don't care how many rights you think you have. That's the way it's headed. That's the way I look at it.
All righty.
That's the way I write about it.
Gotcha. TalkTainmentradio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. And here are several that I'd like to share with you. Well, here's one that I am going to share with you. We at Talktainment Radio have a lot of different shows, and this one is a really good show that you would want to invest an hour in, and it's called the Quay Morgan Hill Show. I had the privilege of viewing the show and listening to it, and also seeing her live. Very outstanding topics that they discuss that it covers the whole gambit of stuff. Very innovative conversation. You might want to check that out, the Quay Morgan Hill Show, which is an exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. Man, oh man, the young lady and her guests are just outstanding. But you'd have to see that for yourself. That's the Quay Morgan Hill Show, which is an exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. I believe it comes on after my show on every other Wednesday, or every other Tuesday, here at TalkTainmentRadio.com. That's the Quay Morgan Hill Show. As a matter of fact, not only that, but you can click on the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage for each show that we have. Gives you a little detail about the show host, what it's about, the time, and the day. So check that out, exclusively from TalkTainmentRadio.com. That is radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am blessed to be the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. Basically, we're having an open forum, but we are going to try and clear as many Gmails as we can. If you want to call and join in on the conversation, or even have a question, you can do so by calling 1-877-932-9766 and have Mr. Fuller address your question. Okay, this is from the Gmails. Ironic. It's talking about prisoners of war. This comes from Brother Thompson. He says, Mr. Fuller says that we are all prisoners of war. If that is the case, and I believe it is he saying that our homeland is America, and he put 3 Ks on the end of it, and not Africa?
No, we don't have a homeland. Prisoners of war don't have a homeland. They don't have anything. Prisoners of war have a title. That's what we have. And the title is Prisoners of War. Period. We don't have another title. Victims of the system of white supremacy. They are prisoners of war. Every person classified as non-white on the planet in 2018. End of story. You have no nationality. Your history doesn't mean anything. Period. Except the history of being a prisoner of war. That's it. If you look at yourself that way, you got it accurate for the first time. If you look at yourself as being anything other than that, you are making a huge mistake that you're going to pay for, most likely, somewhere down the line, either in small ways or large ways. The prisoners of war have nothing except a title and a death sentence. Prisoners of war are, anybody that knows anything about war You know, a prisoner of war tries to escape being a prisoner of war, they get shot. That's a death sentence. That's automatic. If you're trying to get out of it, being a prisoner of war. Until what? Until the war is over. And then you're officially released. That has never happened. Never. There's no record of that. That has been functional. It has been in written law, but there's no record of it in common law. So you have three types of laws, at least in the Western Hemisphere, in any court. They have statute, case, and common. Common law is just, you know, it's not written down, but everybody understands that that's the way it is. Mm-hmm. Racism is the way it is. You won't find very many laws that authorize racism to be valid. Okay? Most of the laws about mistreating people based on color have been taken off the books. So that's statute law. That's gone. And you have a lot of case laws. But common law, everybody understands that racism still exists.
What is case law?
Oh, we don't have case. Oh. The case law is you have cases, you know, that have come up during the system of racism, you know, cases where they go to court and all like that.
Okay.
That's what case law comes out of. But common law, like common law marriage.
Yes, sir.
A male with a female, they don't go and do any paperwork. They just say that we're going to be what we call living together.
Okay, common then, yeah.
All right, so that's what you call common law.
Yes, sir.
Now, under common law, you have racism. If you start looking for racism being authorized in a written law, you know, you look in the books and say, oh, no, you can't authorize anybody to be a racist and say that that's valid. You know, nobody knows. Racism is done away with.
Okay.
In most places in the world, they'll say it's gone.
Okay.
But in common law, everybody knows it's not gone any place. It hasn't even moved a few inches. It's just been modified.
Modified. Okay. All right. Let me continue. He says, we are so mixed up racially now, and mostly from white male beast raping everyone, and so-called whites either never kept records, destroyed them, or are hiding them from us, so it is almost impossible to know where we truly originate from. He says, my question is, what does Mr. Fuller think about this chicanery, and how can we control our excessive emotions to prevent us from bad spending decisions like this stuff that ultimately led to white enrichment and our genetic downfall?
Oh, well, like in the code book, it says the suggestion is you don't spend money needlessly. Just a simple thing. And you definitely don't spend any money, like all these things that, you know, people keep inventing holidays and more of them coming down the line. I mean, in order to do what? Go out and spend. That's what that's about. Don't do that. Just simply don't do it. Just because somebody check marks a date on a calendar means you're supposed to go and spend money? Mm-hmm. Absolutely don't do it. I'm not doing none of that. Just stop doing it. Cold turkey. Go cold turkey worldwide on that. Every person of color. I'll entice somebody to come and buy something from me, like, you know, some old clothes or whatever. But, spending money, going out, and, you know, so we got to go out and get this. Well, Halloween has come. Now we got to go out and buy some costumes. You got enough costume. Your skin color's a costume.
Okay. Let's do this. Not speaking of costumes, but let's do this. Woo. This comes from Victor. He says this, can you ask Mr. Fuller, why do black people hate themselves so much? They vent anger at people who are around them instead of people who are responsible for their suffering. Someone very powerful is trying to remove me from my job, and I have to stand up to them. I notice that when I am being mistreated and subjugated by people who practice racism, I take out the anger on other black people. Mr. Fuller, why is that? Why is my behavior like that?
because you feel weak, which is what you are. Prisoner of war. Remember this. Prisoners, what do prisoners do more than anything other than just try to get some stuff from the outside or get some drugs into the prison so that they can forget that they're in prison or something like that, or want to talk to their lawyer? Prisoners fight each other. That goes with the territory. Why? Because they're in a weak position. They can't fight the guards. That's just going to make that situation worse. So they fight each other.
What does that do?
Nothing but make that situation worse. But they just feel like they got to lash out at somebody or something. Unless, like in the movie Shawshank Redemption, that's not what Andy Dufresne, the character in the movie, did. The principal character in the movie. The center stage of the movie. That movie is loaded with lessons. Shawshank Redemption with Tim Robbins acting in the character of Andy Dufresne. How did he act? He didn't go around trying to make trouble with the other prisoners or even make trouble with the guards. Why? He knew it wouldn't work. That's why. So he started doing things that would work. Okay. Trying to get a prison library.
Okay. Let's change it.
Our strategy. Playing chess.
Playing chess. Okay.
With Red and whatnot. I mean, showing you what strategy is like.
Okay.
How to outthink your opponents.
Okay.
And whatnot. He knew that the other prisoners were always going around trying to sodomize people, beat them up, start fights, whatever. Or like in the movie Cool Hand Luke. I mean, you know, people kind of centered around Luke. Why? But because Luke was always thinking. Thinking. Thinking.
Okay.
Thinking. And in answer to this question, that's what you do. You think before you act.
Okay.
Before you speak. And remember, you are a prisoner of war. Expect to be mistreated.
All right.
Expect to be mistreated. Every move that you make. Expect everybody around you to look for a way to mistreat you.
1-877-9...
And just take it in stride and make your plans accordingly.
1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact with the show. Okay, Mr. Fuller, since you said that and since you said thinking, let's think about this. Suppose the character that Tim Robbins played, suppose that the person, Andy Dufresne, was black. Then what? Would he still be afforded the same opportunities that Tim Robbins played as Andy Dufresne?
No, all the more reason. And a swift answer to that question. No. You double down because you have to. You have to be smarter than Tim Robbins. All right? You have to see, being smart is the whole key to doing what? Solving problems. And solving problems is a sign of being smart. When you're a problem solver, solving what problem? Whatever problem you have in the best possible manner. That calls for what? Codified strategy. Questions and answers. What's the best way to go about doing everything? If you just want a strategy that's laid out in simple language, that is it. What is the best way to handle every situation? Because regardless of what the situation is, anywhere in the world, any minute of any day, there is a best way to handle a situation, which means problem solving, a best way to solve problems, and a what? Worse way, which calls for what? How do you tell the difference? Thinking. It means you start thinking before you start speaking and acting, and let your emotions guide you, which is totally unreliable.
TSA.
Let your thoughts, your logic that came with the universe. There's a best way to go about doing everything. This is what Andy Dufresne was trying to do. Okay? And this is what, in his own way, Red, who was black, in that same prison, that's what he was trying to do. That's why he gravitated toward Andy Dufresne.
Okay.
He said, I liked him immediately.
Okay.
When he came in there.
Got to hold it right there. TalkToHimRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are all available. Download TalkToHimRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. More Gmails and phone calls coming up next on TalkToHimRadio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Cooking online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Cooking products are better than those other guys. Ash Cooking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling alright.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop online at www.ashkickin.com.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Sex Code War by Kahari Inahara, the author of the Essence magazine bestseller Race Code War, is releasing his second book, Sex Code War. Be on the lookout for Sex Code War.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of the Cutter Brother West Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Make the change that you want to see in your community. Join us.
Here's an idea. You've heard of the notion of pay it forward. It comes from the 2000 movie Pay It Forward. Basically, the premise is helping someone with no expectations of payback, providing assistance to someone, passing information on, simply doing a good deed for a total stranger, and instead of allowing them to pay it back, ask them to pay it forward. Doing favors for other people and asking them to do the same. The principle is the same as multi-level marketing, except that instead of soap or vitamins, it's generosity between strangers that is being passed on. Pay It Forward is mentoring. It's volunteering in your community. It's shoveling a neighbor's snow, or cutting an elderly person's grass for them, or taking a senior to the store. Don't wait for someone else to do something good. Do it yourself. It starts with you. Radio strongly embraces the notion of pay it forward. In fact, we just did.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkToHimRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Go ahead. Make my day. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You got the power.
We are back from those commercials. TalkToHimRadio.com. We go where you go. Download TalkToHimRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And today we are addressing your Gmails and phone calls. You can call in if you would like at 1-877-932-9766. Okay, I got to get these three subjects here before we get back into it. I've been asked about your movie list update. So, do you have an update on it? Is it on your page? What's going on?
Well, I've put it out on the air, and I've checked with the people who are supposed to be putting it up on my website. justjustice.com, and they keep telling me that they're dealing with some other things, and they'll get around to it. So I don't know what the projection date is. The last projection date was I was supposed to have it up by today, but I was told about 2 days ago that it wouldn't be up by today because some other things had come up. This goes with the territory of what I write about. Never be disappointed, because never expect very much about people saying they're going to do what they're going to do. Not so much because it's a fault with them, but because the system we're in. The people right there at the station that we're on, talktamerradio.com, there are problems that come up. So I think you understand that. I mean, it's out of nowhere, all right, that interfere with what you're doing there. I'm quite sure you've experienced that yourself.
Yes,
right
sir.
There.
Yes, sir.
If you're black, this is what happens.
Okay.
See things, people who promise you to do things, and so you're told, okay, well, you promised me you'll do this, so now I'm going to go and tell the other people that it's going to be done because you have promised me that it's going to be done. And so, and then the next person and the next person, but somewhere up along the line, the usual suspects, either directly or indirectly, get involved, and that whole thing falls apart about everybody's plan. And black people wind up getting mad at each other. I say, but don't do that. Resist that urge, because it's the usual suspects who caused it all anyway. But we didn't know that, and still don't know it. We never find it out. But it's the system itself is not designed to nurture anything that black people are doing that is going to have a constructive result. Always keep this in mind.
Yes, sir.
So you don't get angry with other black people when promises are made and then not kept.
Okay.
So don't expect them to be kept.
Don't expect them. Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, I'm supposed to ask you about what is Mr. Fuller's thoughts about the elections, in particular in Florida and Georgia. Recounts are going on all over the place. You're hearing this, you're hearing that. What say you about your opinion, just Neely Fuller's opinion on these elections that had just taken place?
The codified response. The usual suspects. That's all. Right out of Casablanca. The usual suspects, the white supremacists. Anything that happens, this is code, counter-racist code. Anything that happens involving people of color that should not happen, the white supremacists are to blame, either directly or indirectly. Why? Because that's an easy thing to do? No, because it's true. And why is it true? Because they're in charge of everything, that's why. So anything that happens under their watch, and everything is under their watch, that should not happen, they're to blame. Either directly or indirectly. I don't care how many twists and turns and how you shake it up and pour it, it comes out the white supremacists every time. Every time. It might take you a long time to figure it out or sort through it, but you'll always find the culprit behind that curtain. That is the white supremacists every time, without fail. If there's anything that happens that shouldn't happen in this prisoner of war camp. Why? Because they are the camp masters, that's why.
All right.
And the camp masters are always to blame for what happens in the camp.
Okay, let's deal with this one. Number 3. There was a girl at a middle school in Texas. A lot of stuff's happening in Texas. And the school says that they are required to stand for the playing of the national anthem and the pledge allegiance of the flag. And this young girl, black girl, refused to do that because she said that the national anthem of the United States and its flag in particular, she pointed out where it says in liberty and justice for all, says it didn't apply to her. So the school suspended her for failure to comply with the Texas law. Her mother went there to try to explain that, but they wasn't hearing the fact that it's proven that the flag, in particular, the national anthem, being that it, in particular, the third stanza, which is basically just blasted the whole song in that it was pertaining to racism and those founding fathers who were racist. And Francis Scott Key, who penned that, how he vehemently was against the black people because the British Army recruited those black people and inducted them into their army to fight against the army of the United States, or the military. And he really lame blasted them, which is basically the center of the song. And the mother explained that to the officials at the school in Texas, and they wasn't trying to hear that. They still suspended her. What say you on incidents like that? Because there's another incident that I haven't read, but basically the same thing. What say you about that?
On this program and on others, on this program, I think I've talked about that before. I made a codified response to it years ago. And because this question has come up time and time and time and time and time again. So it was codified in the textbook for victims of racism that you can get by going to producejustice.com, and it's in there. It says that the universal flag pledge is the compensatory universal flag pledge that will fit anything. Took me a couple of years to come up with just that single, simple line. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. Now, suspend me on that one. See, in other words, under freedom of speech, you do have a constitution in the Northwestern Hemisphere.
Which your mother mentioned.
I'm sure. But see, that's taken a long way around when you start talking about Francis Scott Key. What she did was correct. I mean, if you want to have a court case. But I'm saying, if you want to have, codification is about having slam dunks. No dribbling down the court. Every move that you make is a slam dunk. Otherwise, it shouldn't be a part of a code. So you just simply say, I have to take a pledge? Okay. A pledge to what? A pledge to that flag standing over there in the corner. Okay, as a prisoner of war, I do what I'm told. Okay? So I stand there, and I take, and I say, well, now, they told me to take the pledge, so I'm going to take the universal pledge. I do it all times. Relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me.
So you stand up and do that?
Stand up and do it what you might call, quote unquote, proudly. Even though if you want to do that, I just say just do it. I don't have to put an adjective on it like proudly. I just say, I'm just obeying prison orders. And so now, if they charge me with not taking the pledge, I'm going to say, what's incorrect about the pledge? Now we're going to the question thing. Say, well, you're not saying the pledge. I did say the pledge. I said the best possible pledge that anybody can ever make. Now, that would bring in the factors of Francis Scott Key and then the other slave owners and whatnot and all like that. They can bring all that up. I mean, according to the history that they teach right there in that school.
Exactly.
All right? This is what they teach in that school. But I have opened that door by taking a pledge that will fit any flag, anywhere, at any time. Because I didn't lie.
Okay, now.
All right?
Wait a minute.
Now, it might be a lie in other pledges. There's no lie in that pledge.
Okay.
But every flag always relates.
Okay.
The person who's taken the pledge, the way that I just outlined that you took it.
Yes.
That's why I called it the universal.
Okay, but
you can take that pledge to any flag.
Got that. But by her standing, just standing, and even though she repeated the pledge, not the pledge of the United States or to the flag, but she said the compensatory statement. No, she refused to stand. Period, because she didn't believe in what they were teaching, because she said it didn't apply to her at all.
Yes. Well, see, that makes it more debatable. I'm saying, what do you do? What is the best thing to do? I mean, if you're going to be hauled into court. See what I mean?
So you're saying go ahead and stand, and then you repeat.
I would stand, and I would give the compensatory universal pledge. I do, while other people are saying whatever they said that you can say, but under freedom of speech, I would say, I'm going to say the pledge the way that it applies to me.
Even though it looks like you are pledging allegiance to...
Yes, that way I'm not interfering with other people. I'm not being disruptive. I am taking the pledge.
Okay.
But I am saying I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me.
Okay, I got
you. Verbal pledge.
Yes, sir.
These are the words you use.
Yes,
exact words. You don't add to it or subtract from it.
Okay.
I do it all the time, relating to the flag the way the flag relates to me. Now that raises a question. How does the flag relate to me? Well,
if anybody heard you.
If anybody asks me, if anybody hears me, what are you saying? See, somebody may hear you.
Yes.
But you're not saying it for them anyway. You're addressing the flag. So it's unlikely that anybody would hear you say it, because they're busy taking their pledge. See what I mean? You can pledge to the flag the way that you want to pledge to the flag, the way I see it. So that was exactly what I would tell my offspring to do. That's exactly what I would do right today.
Okay, before we get into the question, about your book, in your opinion, as you look at the Colin Kaepernick situation, by him taking a knee and others taking a knee and all that, whatever was going through their mind in protest of being, I guess, forced to say or stand for the national anthem and the flag and all that, do you think now I'm just asking you, do you feel that his approach to bring voice to the fact of the mistreatment of black people, do you think that was the appropriate stage for him to do what he did? I know you can't speak for him, and I'm not asking you to, but I'm asking if Neely Fuller was playing football, that would be a sight to see anyway. But if you were playing football and this was one of the things that you had to do before the game commenced, was that, or do you think that was the right approach to do?
For them to take a knee?
Yes. Because they were tired of the mistreatment.
I have to respond according to what the code requires me to do and say.
Oh, man.
The code requires me to say that they did what they did. I am not ever supposed to make an evaluation, either one way or another, about how another prisoner of war responds to being a prisoner of war when it comes to their action of dealing with race, their speech rather, and that's a form of speech.
Yes.
Race, racism, and counter-racism.
Yes.
I'm absolutely prohibited from doing that. I cannot make a critique on another prisoner of war's, another victim of white supremacy's response to the system of white supremacy when it comes to their verbal reaction to it. That is a choice. That is a choice. That comes under VGQ.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That is a strict thing. Victims guaranteed qualification. He is qualified to take that knee simply because he took that knee. So everything that goes along with taking the knee now, he's got to be ready for it. Okay? But I cannot make a critique of it.
Okay,
I'm prohibited from doing that.
Okay.
As an equal prisoner of war.
Okay.
Under VGQ.
How about this? This is the time for you to discuss your book. Take it away.
Yes. Well, a lot of the things that we've been discussing this morning, in fact, everything we've been discussing so far, I cover in the book, the textbook for victims of white supremacy. ProduceJustice.com. You can get the book. Go to everything in there is supposed to be designed to help an individual person deal with directly or indirectly with any thought, speech, and or action directly or indirectly associated with the system of white supremacy as a victim of white supremacy, an individual victim, as an individual prisoner of the system of white supremacy, this warlike system, or war system rather, of the system of white supremacy, and as a prisoner of war, how suggestions about how you can think, speak, and act as a prisoner, because that's what the book assumes that you are, a victim of white supremacy, a prisoner of war of the system of white supremacy, and how to go about functioning in that prison system on a daily basis. Things to do, things not to do. Things to say, things not to say.
Mm-hmm.
How to respond when other people say things, like when other people use the N-word, either in your presence or calling you the name. How to respond. What do you do? What do you say? What do you not do? What do you not say? That's what the book is designed to do. Help you every minute of every day in 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And these are just suggestions, and you pick them as an individual. It is not doctrinaire, like you must do these things. These are just suggestions, like a buffet, because everything that's written in there is not, the style or where you are on the planet. Different type of prison systems, even though they are blanket prisoners of war, they come under that title. Different prisons have different rules. Some rules are stricter than others. So you just take all that into consideration. And it's not doctrinaire in that you can pick out things that you think that you ought to do and things that you think make sense, but you don't think apply to you. You just don't use it. Like any other buffet. You might say it's a buffet of ideas, like going into a restaurant and just going down the cafeteria line, and you say, well, I don't like those type of potatoes, but I like these type over here. I don't like those onions. I like this over here. Or I don't like this at all. Well, you just pass it up and pick up the things that apply to you. And if everybody on the planet does that, this is the assumption, then this problem will be solved, because it's called codification, meaning you regiment everything that you do in such a way that day by day you never have to scratch your head about what to do about something, because you already know before it happens what to say and what to do, what to not say and what to not do. I try to put a lot of that in there. On an individual basis, wherever you happen to be, if you're a person of color, to solve this problem, because I think that's the missing link. We don't have a code that addresses itself to what the individual person can do each and every day about every situation without fail. And I don't say I tried to cover as much as I could.
Yes, sir.
In the way of suggestions. But go to producejustice.com and you can get the basic textbook, and also you'll see on there a codified word guide that you can get. That's in addition to the basic book that shows you what words to use, what words not to use. It's not a dictionary. It's a word guide as a victim of white supremacy. And what words, how to respond to certain words when they're said to you, like the N-word, how, suggestions on how you respond and how you don't respond. Get that all codified, get that outlined, so you don't get frustrated, you don't get angry. You anticipate that somebody's going to sometimes use it, some white person maybe, and what to say and what not to say, and make it absolute. Already have it in your mind what you're going to do before it ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's what counter-racist science is supposed to be, being able to anticipate what you're going to do before things happen. Go to producejustice.com.
All righty. Moving along here, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact with the show. As we come to the close of the first hour, with about 5 minutes to go, as I've been told, you addressed, Mr. Fuller, Halloween, and you were very illustrative in doing this. In particular, the color scheme, and one of my Gmailers wrote in, and then he produced an image, and he says, Mr. Bobby, here is an image found to illustrate our situation as Neely Fuller predicted a few years ago. I don't know what year that you did this, but here the picture is a picture of people dressed in the traditional Halloween color, which I didn't know that they had, but orange and black. What makes this in particular stand out is that as a Halloween costume, they had some black youth, and looked like some administrative officials dressed up in black with handcuffs on, indicating a prison system, or going to prison, or prison, or that is the jail colors, black and white, or rather black and orange. And they are, I'm looking at the image right now that I can't show on TV or on YouTube, but they are in handcuffs. And when you look at the picture, to me, it's sad. It's sad. I'm going to take that caller in the second hour. So hang on, caller. Just hang on. I'm going to get you the second hour because we don't have enough time to do it in this first hour. What we do? All right, well, go ahead, caller. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Hello. Morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
Learning like you. I wanted to make a comment and have opinion about something I've observed. As a teacher working in a public school, I noticed that students of all backgrounds, white and non-white, Pacific Islanders, Asian, Middle Eastern, Black Americans, African Americans, you name it, they're all using the word nigger, N-I-G-G-E-R, N-I-G-G-A. And I wanted to know, since so many people are using, like, hey, what's up, my nigger, to each other who are not black, why do you think the white supremacists pretend or something to act offended when they hear the word, and then go around saying we're not going to use the word, we're going to say the N-word, pretending like they don't know what it is, but yet all amongst the teenage population it's being used. What is your interpretation of that, Mr. Fuller?
And you're saying that the people use it in the school, in the classroom?
Right to each other. Students, Hispanic students, white students, Filipino students, Middle Eastern students.
Mm-hmm.
They're mimicking like the rapper style of, hey, what's up? Mm-hmm. What are you doing, my nigga? To each other. But yet we have the adult population pretending like the word has gone away.
Well, remember that you are in a prison system, and you are a prisoner of war if you are a black lady teaching in a school. You're teaching in a prison. All right? You're a prison of war teacher. You've been assigned to teach, assigned as a teacher to teach the other prisoners of war. I mean, how to do whatever the prisoners you do as prisoners of war in the system of white supremacy. So you ask the people who run the prison if you can get their ear. Now, first of all, you make a report that the word is being used all day long by the students themselves. And then you ask the logical question. You, as a teacher, what are you supposed to do about that according to the prison rules?
Gotcha.
And put a question mark behind it and ask for the answer in writing.
Okay.
The use of that word in this school. What is the official prison policy? Of course, you don't have to tell them that it's a prison. They already know that, or should know it. But you can just say the school rules, the school laws. I like to use the word law. I don't like to use the word policies, guidelines, rules. That's a little flimsy.
Sorry, we have to cut it off right here. TalkTimeRadio.com, radio, the world's greatest radio, radio the way it should be heard. Stay tuned for the second hour.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all.
Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Alrighty, welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Fuller online with me. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and believe it or not, this is radio the way it should be heard. If you'd like to get in contact with this show, you can at 877-932-9766. There are other ways that I will explain as the show progresses. I've been made aware again, even though some of the callers and some of the Gmailers have acknowledged this, Mr. Fuller's birthday, which we call his birthday, but Mr. Fuller, I was just told that basically happy birthday to you, but I'm going to say happy birthday to you as you explained, and just wanted to make that acknowledgement to you. There are some people that like to say that to you knowing exactly how you feel. But anyway, happy birthday to you as you so beautifully explained.
Well, I'm pleased that I have another birthday. I had just one birthday, and that was the day I was born, and that was the day that I started breathing. And I've been breathing ever since. So therefore, every day that I've been breathing, I have appreciated that day, because that's a birthday. Now, I got one day coming up, I know.
Yeah.
According to the way things usually work, scientifically, logically, and that is a death day. These are birthdays. I got one right now. I'm breathing right now.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate this as a birthday. Every day is a birthday, and I appreciate every minute of every one of them. But one of these days, and I think that'll be in a pretty short order, going according to the way things usually work, I'll have a death day, in which case my breath no longer is with me, and I'll be no longer with it, and I'll be gone. But as long as I'm here, you might say, I appreciate all of these days and every minute of each one of them, because it is what? A gift for whatever put me here.
Okay.
I have no control over that. I'll try to control it as best I can to keep doing it. But one of these days, according to what I have witnessed, everybody exhale at some point, and they don't inhale again.
All right. So anyway, happy Breath a Day to you. Let's see here. Let's take this phone call. Okay, caller, you're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Can I be heard?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I be heard? Yes, I hear you. Oh, good morning, Mr. Fuller. I have two questions for you. The first question is that as a victim of racism, what I have noticed about myself and a lot of other non-white people, particularly black people in this part of the world, is that we like to brag and say that we are very successful in many things that we do, whether it's monetary or any other thing that we feel that we are quote-unquote accomplishing. Is it accurate to say that no non-white person in the system of racism, white supremacy, is successful unless we are doing something that's going to stop the system of white supremacy?
Well, I'll tell you, in the textbook for victims of white supremacy that you can get by going to producejustice.com, my suggestion is no black person, no non-white person should ever put the label of success on themselves for having accomplished anything in this prison system called the system of white supremacy. Prisoners of war are not successful. Prisoners of war are losers. According to what? Neely Fuller? According to logic. Prisoners of war are not successful. They are captives. As long as you are a captive of the system of white supremacy, and white supremacy is dominant over you as a person of color, you are not a success at whatever it is that you do. Why? Because the main thing that you are in that system of white supremacy is prisoner of war. So it's not logical that you can consider yourself, if you follow logic, a successful person, as long as you are a prisoner of war. I will die having not been a success. I'm a success when I'm no longer under the system of white supremacy while I'm breathing. Then I can say I have, if I got out from under the system of white supremacy as a person of color, this is how I look at it from Neely Fuller, for myself. If I leave this planet as a prisoner of war, I will not have been successful at anything that was worthy of being called being successful at. If I look at it, one of the 9 areas of activity, successful at what? See, that's the question. In economics, what is economics? How you use your time and energy. Now, was the use of my time and energy successful if I didn't get out of prison? The answer is what? Logically speaking, when that is my mission, the answer is no. Education, the second area of activity. Did my education, the things that I learned, qualify me from not being a victim of white supremacy? That I was able to say that the white supremacists no longer have any authority over me in any area of activity, any time of day or night, directly or indirectly? So far, the answer is no. And so I can go through all areas: entertainment, politics, sex, religion. Did my religion eliminate the system of white supremacy? Was my religion, whatever that religion is, powerful enough to actually have done the job, not talking about doing the job, not look forward to doing the job? Did my religion actually eliminate racism? And if I die without that having been done, how am I going to qualify myself under counter-racist logic to call myself a success? So the answer is no. There's no such thing as a successful black person in the system of white supremacy. That's impossible.
Your second question, sir?
Thank you. Mr. Fuller, I remember reading in the code book a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what page it was on, but it has always stuck with me.
you made a statement that said black people do not have what they are supposed to have. And I always wanted to ask you specifically about that statement, simply because of how this system of white supremacy promotes us, particularly as non-white people, as you just alluded to, that we can accomplish things and we can do all these things, but yet when I start thinking about it logically, how am I accomplishing something constructive if what I'm getting is not even what I'm supposed to get? And I always wanted to get your perspective on that statement that you made in the code book.
It's the law of compensation. Prisoners of war do not get what they should get. What they should get is not being prisoners of war. Now, anything you get inside the prison, I don't care how luxurious your cell might be, as long as you're a victim of white supremacy, counter-racist logic says, you're just a jazzed-up victim of white supremacy, and that's all. I don't care how much money you have, or what you do, or how many so-called friends you have, or how many parties you go to. You're just partying in a prison. Having a prison party. And that's the way every black person on the planet should look at it every minute of every day. I'm a prisoner of war. I'm not supposed to be a prisoner of war. And anything that happens in this prison, this is biding time until I'm not a prisoner of war. I don't care what it is. I don't care what I invent in the prison. Oh, yeah, there are great inventions made in the prison. I understand a white man during World War II invented the M1 and M2 carbine rifle, type that I used in Korea, carried in Korea, rather. Didn't use it. And his name was Carbine Williams, I think. I think they made a movie about it. And he was a prisoner. All right, so prisoners can invent things. So black people invent things, and then we walk, write books and bragging about it. But remember, you invented these things under the system of white supremacy. Okay? Right. So what? So what? So you invented something, but you're still a prisoner of war. George Washington Carver, I understand, came up with all kinds of inventions and ways of handling the peanut and different things you can do with it. An excellent person who had an eye and a mind for the, what they call the fauna of the universe and whatnot. But a slave. And we're still that way. So we're in no position to do any bragging. That's another thing. Prisoners of war don't brag. Prisoners of war do not brag about anything. We just breathe a sigh of relief. Even if it comes a day we're no longer subject to white supremacy, according to the counter-racist code, we're not supposed to brag then. On Jubilation Day, we're supposed to breathe a sigh of relief and then start trying to clean up the mess that this world has been in ever since the beginning of the system of racism.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, caller, for calling in. TalkToMeRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's one that I am going to share with you. It is called The Kinsman. After this program, if you'd like, and I would highly suggest that, why don't you turn into that program and hear what Brother Malik Heru has to say and where he's going and the outreach to brothers and sisters everywhere. It's good talk, Kinsman talk. Yeah, all that is exclusive to TalkToHim@radio.com, as are all of our shows that are done here. And you can go to the TalkToHim@radio.com homepage and just click on programs, and there you will see a list of the programs that we have here. All this from Talktainment Radio, that is radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, and I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We're basically having an open discussion on your emails or Gmails, and as you can see here, phone calls. As a matter of fact, We have a phone call right now. You are on with Mr. Fuller, and you can be heard. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning. This is James calling from North Carolina. Mr. Fuller, under the system of white supremacy, is your book, The United Independent Compensatory Concept, at best able to produce a planet of codified prisoners of war and slaves who will exist under the constant threat of murder at the hands of white supremacists? I'm asking this question because based on logic and past historical evidence, racists are most violent when their victims think, speak, and act in a constructive manner.
Yes. I say that the book has not proven anything. I've written a book that I recommend that people read, but this book has not proven to be a threat to the system of white supremacy at all. Why? Because the white supremacists haven't made a move to keep the book from being distributed. They haven't made a move against me. I've had when I've gone and spoken at universities and whatnot, there were white people present. I was reading right from the book. I was saying things right out of the book. I got no comments at all except that what I was doing was interesting. That's the only comment I ever got in all the years that I've been out here. So my points of view are very interesting. And it seems like I use logic. And then they just walk away. There's no opposition at all. None. Except some people have said that they agree with it. They don't agree with it. Lots of people have said that. But since nothing has changed, now see, the white supremacists, that's all they go by. They don't care what black person says anything about anything. We have what we call grade black speakers and grade black leaders. But the white supremacists look at them and the book writers like myself, and then they look at what black people are actually doing every day, and they say, we don't care. Let them write, let them talk, let them preach, let them plan on writing another book, let them make movies, as long as what? They ain't disturbing the prison routine. That's all they care about. The white supremacists are pure scientists. All they care about is the effect. If what you're doing is not taking effect, what Neely Fuller is saying is not taking effect, it's like he doesn't exist, which he doesn't. That's the answer.
Can I say something, sir?
Yes, sir.
I will say this. Your book has been helpful in many ways to me as an individual, and I agree with everything you just said. However, what's the logical question that has to be asked regarding your book? If it hasn't proven to be effective, and I say this respectfully, sir, I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, why are you promoting it and trying to sell it?
Oh, because I'm doing the best I can as a prisoner of war. That's why I give examples like, Casablanca, Shawshank Redemption. What did Humphrey Bogart say in Casablanca to Victor Laszlo? He says, if we all try, he says, but Mr. Laszlo, it seems like you doing better than me. You succeed. However, I prefer not to use the word success, but Humphrey Bogart, playing the part of Rick Blaine in the movie Casablanca, was telling this character from in World War II that he was doing more against, for the war effort than Rick Blaine was doing. Rick Blaine admitted that himself, said, I try to do my little stuff right here in this little nightclub. It don't amount to much, but I try to do my best. And what does that mean? In answer to your question, it means as a prisoner of war, you just keep trying to do what a prisoner of war should be trying to do, not be a prisoner of war. It doesn't make any difference. An ant at the bottom of a glass jar may realize that it's going to be extremely difficult to get out of that jar. But you better believe, every time you come and look, because I've watched it being brought up in the woods at one time in my existence. I studied I mean, and they say, well, that ant ain't going nowhere. I mean, I don't care how long he tries, but you will come by the next day, if that ant is still breathing, that ant will still be trying to climb up the wall of that glass jar. It will be trying to do its very best. With what? With the conditions that it has been given. Why? Because what's the option? The other option is to do what? Nothing at all. And with every black person on this planet, that should never be an option. You just keep on keeping on. I won't care. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if the whole world, including all the black people, are standing up and speaking against you, shouting against you, like a lot of them will. All right? You just say, yeah, okay, I heard you all, but you know what? I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. You know, white, non-white, you all keep on talking about I shouldn't be trying to break out of this system and replace it with a better system. No, that's my mission. That's my reason for breathing. And as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to be trying to do that. All right, regardless of what anybody says about anything. End of story. And that's what every black person on the planet, every person of color, should be saying right now in response to what you just presented.
Yes, sir. And I try to do that to the best of my ability, according to what I know and understand on a day-to-day basis. However, I want to be free right now. And I just want to know, what should we be doing different in order to make that happen as soon as possible, because tomorrow's too late for me.
Yes, I understand. And so let me cut right to the chase right now. That's what I mean. You try things that and find out if it works. If it doesn't work, you drop it and try something else. That's it. That's the codified procedure. That's how everything is done. That's how people make millions of dollars. They try one thing, it doesn't work, then they try something else. That doesn't work, then they try something else. That's what inventors do. The people that started off with the airplane, trying to put some wings on a bicycle, all right? Now look at what we ride around in. But it started with that person trying to put wings on a bicycle or on a unicycle or one wheel and thinking you can roll and take off and flap those wings. It weren't going anywhere, and everybody laughed. But the next thing you know, in 100 years or so or less, people are landing on the moon. But it came from that person that first started trying to do that. That's it. Why? Because the option is to do nothing. And I'm saying no black person should say, well, I ain't going to do nothing because it's too hard. No. Do everything that you think might work, even when it fails. And when that fails, do something else. Because it ain't a failure until you stop trying.
All righty. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call. Let's go to the phone lines. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Top of the AM, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Bobby. How you doing today?
Hey, Banuko.
How you doing? I wanted to ask Mr. Fuller a question and also make a statement. We had a situation up in New York where a victim of racism, white supremacy, a non-white female, was attacked by a white supremacist terrorist. She was just out of the blue stabbed by this white supremacist terrorist. And my question to Mr. Fuller is this. Mr. Fuller, and this is for my care unit in Baltimore, by the way, shouldn't we have a code for our non-black women to defend themselves in these cases?
Oh, sure. You defend yourself against anybody that attacks you. I mean, just think of yourself as a prisoner of war. You're walking around in the prison yard. They gave you a little break where you're out of your cell. So you're walking around in what we call streets and whatnot. And you're not in the compound that you're assigned to, called an apartment or a house and whatnot, in the prison system of white supremacy. And somebody attacks you. So you do what you would do in the prison yard. You run if you can, and if you can't get away, and they catch you and start trying to hit you with something, or stab you, or shoot you, and you fight. I mean, like any animal would do, because that's what we are considered to be. So you just, your animal instincts. All right? It's simple. I mean, you don't have to scratch your head about that one. I mean, all organisms do that. Even what we call in the chemical field, things within your body called antibodies. I mean, they resist something trying to destroy it. I mean, one cell tries to destroy another cell, but that cell will resist being destroyed. You always resist being destroyed on a one-on-one basis, okay? But if you're overwhelmed and you figure that you can buy some time, like law enforcement officers gang up on you or something like that, well, you know from experience that you might, if you don't fight, don't fuss, don't flee, you might be able to be here another day. But if you fuss, you fight, you flee, and you got some law enforcement officers who are really posing as police officers, but they're really white supremacists, and you're going to get beaten to death. You just might have to just take that beating, and that's it, like in any prison yard. The guards can gang up on you and beat you to death anytime they want to, if that's what their mission is. And, you can, when you see that you're just going to be beaten and there's no way out, then that's the only time you can fight back, or should. But you shouldn't initiate anything. All right?
Absolutely.
But in other words, just use logic. That's what the whole codification thing is about. Not just Neely Fuller's code. Neely Fuller's code is supposed to be based on logic. That's all I follow. Do the best you can in every situation. What is the best thing to do? And what is the worst thing to do? And you have to make up your mind real quick. That's the key.
Right.
Make up your mind real quick about the best thing to do in every situation. Because every situation, there's a best thing and a worst thing. And that's everything from somebody trying to kill you to actually writing a letter. What's the best way to word this letter that I'm fixing to write? And what's the worst way to write this letter? And you pick the best way for doing everything, every minute of every day that you are breathing. That's it. That's all anybody has to do, if you want it in a nutshell.
Well, that's definitely understood, Mr. Fuller. I just wanted to add, you said use logic, and what I see usually in the two cases that I've seen, we don't use logic. We call the race soldiers there, and the race soldiers don't help the situation at all. So I definitely agree with what you said, and I hope that everyone that's listening, they initiate the logic into their code of defending themselves and stop calling these race soldiers to the situation, because half of the time, more than likely, they're not there to help the situation. They're there to defend the white supremacist terrorists. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, and thank you, Mr. Bobby.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. Okay. 1-877-932-9766 is the number you can call. You can also view us on Facebook if you would. Facebook too. I'll get to that. But on YouTube, all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, and then hit the space button. I believe you go down to where you can type in the word radio. And when you do that, what will come up is Talktainment number 2, where you can listen live and also view the program. And while you do that, hit the like button and the subscribe button. We'll be very happy if you do that. Okay. TalkTimeRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download TalkTimeRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We have more outstanding Gmails and hopefully more phone calls coming up next with the TalkTimeRadio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Cooking online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Cooking products are better than those other guys. Ash Cooking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling alright.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop online at www.ashkickin.com.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Sex Code War by Kahari Inahara, the author of the Essence Magazine bestseller Race Code War, is releasing his second book, Sex Code War. Be on the lookout for Sex Code War.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of the Cutter Brother West Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Here's an idea. You've heard of the notion of pay it forward. It comes from the 2000 movie Pay It Forward. Basically, the premise is helping someone with no expectations of payback, providing assistance to someone, passing information on, simply doing a good deed for a total stranger, and instead of allowing them to pay it back, ask them to pay it forward, doing favors for other people and asking them to do the same. The principle is the same as multi-level marketing, except that instead of soap or vitamins, it's generosity between strangers that is being passed on. Pay It Forward is mentoring, it's volunteering in your community, it's shoveling a neighbor's snow, or cutting an elderly person's grass for them, or taking a senior to the store. Don't wait for someone else to do something good. Do it yourself. It starts with you. Talktainment Radio strongly embraces the notion of pay it forward. In fact, we just did.
Talktainmentradio.com is proud to present the Compensatory Concept. It is an effective system for countering the effects of white supremacy. Talktainmentradio.com is able to carry the first hour. However, the cost for the second hour is exceeding our limited budget. That is why we ask for your kind assistance in keeping the second hour on the air. If you believe like we do, help us in this struggle for justice. Go to the gold donate button on the TalktainmentRadio.com web page and hit the gold donate button. That's the gold donate button. And please donate. Help us to keep the second hour of the Compensatory Concept on the air. Thank you.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Go ahead. Make my day. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. You go where you love. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. This on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And basically we're having an open forum, reading Gmails, taking phone calls as they come in. You can join in on the conversation or suggestion or VGQ as Mr. Fuller suggests by calling 1-877-932-9766 and we will go on with the discussion. Note, next Wednesday, the 21st of November, there will be no live show. We will return again on the 28th with a live show. But next Wednesday, there will be no live show. But there will be the Compensatory Concept shows that we have, pardon me, that we have already done. And so they're in the system. And you will hear one of those shows. I don't know which one you will hear, but you will hear one of those shows. Is that correct, Mr. Producer? Yeah. Yeah, due to the so-called holiday, that's why there will not be a show, live show. So keep that in mind. So do not call in for that because there won't be one. Okay. So as we move along here, I'm efforting just a moment because we may have a phone call here. Let me get the button, and we do. Caller, you are now live on the air with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning. I wanted to ask about medical terms that are used for black people. Like doctors will say these things like black people have a higher chance to get this, cancer or diabetes, stuff like that, but they never quite go into the foods that we eat, the stresses that we're under, and a lot of other factors. Mr. Fuller, do they use these terms to kind of make black people feel inferior about themselves? Because I just don't understand how could a black person just automatically have a higher chance of getting cancer or diabetes and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, to the extent that the white supremacists has anything to do with anything that black people do, they do things that are harmful to black people. That's the answer. The prisoners of war are supposed to be harmed the way that they think. You got color in your skin, you are eligible to be dominated and mistreated. That's what you are born for. That's what they are taught. I mean, it's not even personal. It's just built into the system of government, world government, that if a person has color in his or her skin, in every area of activity, find a way, if you're white, if you're classified as white, have been, quote, unquote, fortunate enough to have been born white, part of your duties, one of your main duties, is to walk around on the face of this earth, and if you encounter, either deliberately or just incidentally, people of color, particularly people classified as black, of the non-white people, you're automatically supposed to think of a way, regardless of whatever else you're thinking about. If you're classified as white, you're supposed to automatically say, yon goes a person with color in his or her skin. Now, as a duty, as a white person, it is my duty to kind of figure out a way to get over there where that black person is and figure out a way that you can do some type of harm to that person. Period. That's the way they are taught. That's the way we all are taught. Black people are taught to treat each other that way. By whom? Directly, indirectly. Through the books and all like that, and through the use of the word dark and black, you know, and the way the word is used, that is outlined in the code book, in the word guide, and in the basic textbook. The way the word has been used, dark or black. Something evil. Something, you know, that, hey, what is that? Throw rocks at it. stop it from moving. And if you're not going to stop it from moving it, watch it while it moves and see if it does anything that you can find a way to disapprove of, and then take action against it. Now, when you see yourself that way, you're seeing yourself the way that the white supremacists and most white people on this planet have been taught from birth to react at the sight of a person who has color. The darker, the more foreboding, the more Halloween, the more Walking Dead, the more ghoulish, the more grotesque. That thing is something that brings horror, something that is a terrorist, something evil. They're taught that. So you're supposed to understand that. All right?
Claude Anderson, he recently said, it was almost a mind-blowing point. Claude Anderson said that when black people kill black people, we're actually emulating white people.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not the only one to say that. I mean, hundreds of books have been saying it. I've been saying it. I mean, and black people know that. Black people get up in the morning, a lot of black teenagers all over the world now, and particularly in the Northwestern Hemisphere, it's completely self-evident. This is what all the locks on the doors are about. This is why walking down the street is dangerous. It's because we have got black people walking around all day long looking for an excuse, because we're trying to, particularly black males and a growing number of black females, looking for a way to prove that we are somebody. And the way that we do that is you do harm to another person of color. Find somebody that looks just like you and try to, hey, I'm going to get all over that thing. I'm going to kill that thing. I mean, that thing shouldn't even be here. You know, I shouldn't be here, but I ain't got nerve to kill myself, so I kill him because he looks like me. That's a reflection of me. That reminds me of me, and I can't stand myself, so why could I stand him? And that's why we kill each other by the bushel all over the world as we're speaking right now. And we call it tribalism. We give it all kind of names. Well, you ain't a member of my gang. Yes, you are. You're all fellow prisoners, that's all. But you got prison gangs, all right? And the warden says, well, hey, let them kill each other. I mean, hey, less burden on the taxpayer. You know, we're tired of running ambulances for these Negroes.
Okay. All righty. Let's see here. Okay, let's take this phone call. Go ahead, caller. You are on with Mr. Neely Fuller. What is your question?
All right. When a person has certain problems at work, which is caused by people of non-color, whites, I guess, how do you help that person if they work in an environment that are facing the same problem, but it's being presented by black people?
Oh, you shift that weight. But that's the scientific kind of racist way. For one thing, you always let them know that you are not running nothing, even if you are a black supervisor. You let the people that you are giving superior advice to, that's what supervisor means, giving superior advice. So you give them superior advice by saying, you ain't a supervisor. You're a message carrier. All right? You ain't superior in nothing. All right? So you come down and say, now this is what? Like a sergeant, a black sergeant, when I was at Fort Sill, he came down and he used the N-word, but he was using it, putting it in the mouth of the white person. He said, Lieutenant, and he called the lieutenant's name. This is at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in 1952. He said he's going to let us, and he used the N-word, off today.
What?
Yeah, that's the way he put it. We all understood it and went along with it. It didn't hurt. You see, he was a master sergeant, and he came around the rest of us. I was a sergeant, a staff sergeant, and he said, oh, well, Lieutenant, and he called the lieutenant's name, but the lieutenant didn't actually use the N-word, but he used it because he knew what it meant when the lieutenant said, "You're all going to be off tomorrow." Okay? So he came down and said, "Well, boss said he's going to let his N-word off today." And we all laughed because we knew exactly that's what the deal is.
Yeah.
See, we had one white man who was over all of us. It was a black field artillery unit, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 2nd Field Artillery, 1952. All right? There was one white man in that unit.
And he was in charge, huh?
He was in charge. He was a lieutenant, and he hated the job because he knew that he had been given that job because, see, he must have been on somebody's, list. Yeah, we're going to get rid of him and punish him by putting him in charge of a whole bunch of you-know-what.
Yeah, okay.
A bunch of N-words.
Yeah.
Okay? And so he wouldn't have caring about what we did. So actually, we were in a position that the best position during that time that I was in the Army, the 2 years I was in, that was the best time that I had in the Army, if you could call it a best time. Because we had a lieutenant say, "Look, I'm being punished by putting in charge of you people.
Yeah.
So I don't give a holler about what y'all do.
Okay.
Just don't make enough problems where I get in trouble." Okay?
Gotcha.
And so, hey, everybody understood that. So, hey, we acted accordingly.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes you get a little bit of break in a prison.
All right. All right, well, let's go here. See if you can be in charge of this. This is the time where we talk about your book. So go ahead, Mr. Fuller, for the next
Yes, sir. You can go get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of what the textbook is about. And it's even an opening statement about how to use the book. So you'll know specifically how the book is supposed to be used. It's addressed to the individual victims. Organizations can use it, but the book is not about organizations, except within the context of making each person, every individual prisoner of war, an organization, him or herself, wherever he or she happens to be.
Okay.
So you don't have to look around to see what other black people are doing.
Exactly.
You depend exactly on what you are going to do and what you are not going to do, and you're able to be successful at it.
Okay.
You can get the book by going to producejustice.com.
Okay, now before we get off of that, I was asked this, two questions. Number one, can the book be purchased overseas or in Canada? That was the first question. So can the book be done like that, and can you still get the old book?
Yes, you can. You can get the original book. Some people have asked for the original book. Now, I want to qualify that. I want to say I put it up there, but I don't know why. Except one person told me that they understood the book better in the original book, even though the updated book has all of the stuff in it that the original book has.
Okay.
And then has much more added. All right? But I put the original book back up there because some people have requested it because they say that the way it was written and some things that were in there made them understand the second book better when they got it because they have both books.
All right.
So I have it there.
And
so you'll see the three books there. The basic revised edition 2016 and the Word Guide, which is 2010. That's the supplement to the basic book, and the original book, which was the 1984 edition.
Okay, and now, because I do have a brother that communicates with me from South Africa, the places in the Dominican Republic, places in South America, they ask me and write to me quite often about that. Can the book in Canada, can the book be received in those places, as far as you know?
In Canada and in the UK, meaning London and England and whatnot. That's what I've been told, but no place else as of this time. They're still working. They're working, really seriously working. trying to get it to these other places.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So now you know where you can get the book at, and it should be required reading. One of the 3 major books I think you should have on your coffee table. Okay, Mr. Fuller, this comes from the Gmails. It says, question for Mr. Fuller. Is it accurate to say someone can be more racist other than to another person, or is a racist plain and simple a racist?
A racist is always plain and simple a racist. It's just like, an enemy soldier. I mean, a person who has declared himself by being a racist, your enemy, on account of you got the incorrect color in their opinion. And so they're considered soldiers. But some soldiers will treat you better than others. Just like prison guards. Anybody that's been in, what you call I call it greater confinement.
Yeah, greater confinement. Mm-hmm.
Right. Anybody that's been in the Northwestern Hemisphere, been in Attica, or in South Africa, been in what they call Robbins Island, I think.
Yeah.
I think Nelson Mandela, during the time, 27 years he was in, there were some guards that treated him very kindly, all right? But they were still guards. If he had headed for that wall now, they'd take him out, okay? If you try to get out of here, they got to understand that. But he said there were, some of them were brutal, and others treated him very kindly. I mean, as best as they could within the prison rules. So this is what you expect of white people on a daily basis. The white people, you keep it in mind that they're most likely racist because the code requires this, okay? You always suspect any white person who is able to be a racist. That's the requirement. If they're able to be a racist, it probably, that person, if he or she is white, probably is one.
Okay, is it more this person was saying here, is it accurate to say that someone can be more racist than another person who is already racist?
No, it's just, see, if you look at it within the confines of the prison system, and you just have acts of kindness, and you accept these acts, and you thank people who are kind to you. I mean, you got to, and you should, according to the law of compensation. All right, you thank them. You don't be grouchy and whatnot with people who are trying to help you. All right, even under prison conditions, because you're in that envelope called a prison. And so, therefore, if someone does something for you, you get a break. You on a work detail, they say, well, you don't have to work for the next 5 days. Sure, you're in prison. So you thank that person. Say, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. Or if you get some extra money or some extra food or a better sale, you thank it. You thank anybody that does anything for you on the planet, anytime, regardless. But at the same time, keeping in mind, if it's a white person doing it, that white person is still a racist, equal to all other racists, because they are supposed to be guards and are guardians over you.
Got that.
And like they say in The Godfather, it ain't personal, it's business.
It's business. Okay. Last question, I think, for today. Brother Dale wrote in and said this. Last week, some prominent black folk cussed out, blamed, and just flat out dogged those blacks who didn't turn out to vote last week. They called them a disgrace to the race and more. They blamed those black folks who chose not to vote for why Gillum in Florida and Abrams in Georgia didn't win by a landslide. But many blacks are frustrated because neither party has a justice or a black empowerment agenda on the table or seem interested in ever addressing one. So my question to you, Mr. Fuller, are, should blacks be gilded or shamed for not voting? And what is your take on what the lesser of two evils means in terms of voting? And should we get rid of this phrase like we like to use, hold them accountable?
Get rid of that phrase. You're talking about black people?
Yeah.
Yes. Get rid of that phrase. Hold them by the toe? What are we talking about, hold them? Hold who? We're prisoners of war. All prisoners of war are equal. So we don't have any voice anyway. I mean, stop thinking that. The white supremacists make the decisions about who's going to do what in that prison system called the system, capital letters, the system of white supremacy. It's a world prison system for people of color. That's what it is. Okay. And all people of color are in it. So one prisoner, talk about the other prisoner, was Tommen, all right? We have found from experience that doesn't produce anything of constructive value.
So did Gillum and Abrams, for example, because these, he is saying it because these prominent black people suggested that because of the blacks that didn't vote, that's why they lost?
Well, it could be. It could be, but at the same time, every prisoner makes his or her own decision. That's VGQ. That comes under VGQ. You react to racism the way you choose to react. Some black people might say racism is great. They like it. I mean, black people have made a lot of progress. We were nothing but a bunch of savages anyway.
Could that be those black Republicans that go to the White House and drink the coffee?
Yes, right. Drink the coffee, sip the wine, and whatnot. Say all the rest of them black people out there, it ain't nothing to them, but I'm the only one, Master, that amounts to anything. And so I'm glad you have rewarded me. And I want to and go to the White House, stand on the White House roof, and shout to the other black people. Y'all ain't nothing but what they call y'all, a bunch of ends, and I'm the one that ain't, and that's why I am where I am today. And I hope all of y'all that look just like me go somewhere and die, because there ain't nothing to you.
Wow.
If any black person did that, and you asked me what to say about it, I would say what the code requires me to say.
Gotcha. We heard that.
And you know what the code requires me to say? He said what he said.
All right.
He's a fellow prisoner of war. He can say anything he wants. Because he ain't in charge of nothing, no way.
No way. Let me get this last call in. Go ahead, caller. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Fuller, I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about how the system of white supremacy puts value on things, and I was thinking about a diamond ring. In reality, Dr. Fuller, a diamond ring is not worth a nickel. You can't eat it. You can't get no nutrition from it. But the white supremacists have found a way to put value. He puts value on whatever he wants to put value on. So I'll let you get your response to that.
Don't buy them. Don't buy them. Don't buy no diamond rings. There's a whole bunch of black people who are dying right now as we speak.
Yeah.
On account of them so-called diamonds.
Yeah.
They call them blood diamonds.
Yeah, they do.
In a place called the Congo. As we speak right now. I mean, horrendous mistreatment. Getting those things out of the ground. Don't buy them. Period. Hello?
Yeah, you're on. We can hear you.
Okay, well, I want to. Hey, I'm going out to the whole world.
I like that.
If you just don't buy them. Well, buy me a diamond ring because we're going to get married. No, we'll get married or try to, make that arrangement, but not according to the code. But hey, we don't need no blood diamonds going around your finger in order for you to be grinning in front of a preacher. But people are dying because of it.
Woo!
No.
That's woo. That was a powerful statement right there. Okay.
I mean, put a ring around the bathtub or whatnot.
Yeah, I think if you wash enough, there will be a ring. Wow. Well, guess what? Well, I guess we got the end on that. We have come to the close of the show. Outstanding questions in the second hour. We thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for addressing these suggestions and addressing the questions and so forth. We appreciate that. Remember, no show next week. It'll be on tape that we have. But thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you, listeners, for the pleasure of your time. Talktainment Radio. Radio the way it should be heard.